How's up, everyone? Today, we're going to be doing an analysis, an analyzation of Legendary Chrom. So, Legendary Chrom is a horrifying monster, but compared to Legendary well, he certainly has to step aside because he does not have offensive capabilities. But as a tank, Legendary Chrom is a monster. Now, why don't we go and discuss about what he does first, after we listen to what he has to say, because apparently his confession is really long. Alright, now let's go over his skills. So first of all, the man can change fate. It's kind of silly, it's a silly technique. He literally tosses someone, he suplexes someone, and then he ends up tying himself up. But it has its advantages, because Chrom is a unit that is all about tanking attacks. As you can see, he comes with close counter. He comes with low attack dev on top of this wonderful low attack dev -6 that he gets from Rangria. So he's already minusing 9 attack and minusing 9 dev on the opponent. So when you actually look at his stats, I pulled a res copy by the way. When you actually look at his stats, he's actually got, let's see, 9, so he's already at 68 attack. And this 28 resistance? He doesn't look like he has much resistance. But that's a lie. Chrom has 37 resistance. He has 43 dev. He negates a whole ton of stats. And this isn't even just the beginning. He can get roused. He can get even more. So he's incredibly tanky. He is a monster. You don't compare him to Legendary That's not how it works for him. He's a horrifying monster that can tank to the ends of days. I highly recommend to go and pick up a healing special. Maybe Aether would do. Aether probably will do best. Now let's go and display the evil forces of to change fate. Hey, look, he tied himself up, but he can still move 2 spaces right afterwards. He just can't receive any more specials, can't be healed, yada yada yada. Not a big deal. Now you do such a thing, usually because you want to get an offensive blow. Now the problem with this technique is that, unfortunately, it's not so good for tanks, for his Rangria, because he's slow. He's very, very slow. He's got a speed of 26. If he goes and pokes a hornet's nest, he's going to find himself in serious trouble. So now I'm going to go and heal up with Brady. And on top of this, he's also got a color. Having a color on him is a handicap, honestly. It's not good for him. Of course, against these guys, you can't see it. But if you're facing stronger dudes... Alright, say we have 49 defense and 43 res. Pretty considerable. It's a lot. Wait, 49. Yeah, 49 and 43. 43. Yep, that's the one with Rangria and with low attack dev active. It's considerable. But to be honest with you, I fought a lot of guys with 40, 50 something defenses and they're no match for me. Especially if you were to use LOL as your B slot. You can't negate their skills. And when you can't negate their skills, you're going to eat Moon Bowls and Lunas and such like that. He's actually not that tanky. He's tanky, but he's not that tanky. He may be scary on the first glance when you look at the way this whole thing's set up. But there are many things nowadays that ends up cutting into your defenses. And then there are many guys these days that have like sky-high offense to go with. So having a low speed, it gives him a bit of an Achilles heel. He doesn't have any way to negate enemy from doubling him. That's his main issue. Most guys who have speed like that these days have something that'll allow them to negate the speed deficit. Of course, we now have no follow-up, so that's also a thing that to look forward to. Chrom, unfortunately, still could use something like that in his base kit, because no follow-up you have to sacrifice a B slot to use. And hey, guess what? You know, B slots don't exactly go on trees. No follow-up doesn't grow on trees. It's not that easy to just go and be like, oh yeah, I want no follow-up, and just get no follow-up. It doesn't work like that. So having a native skill like that would be very useful for him. I would say that being an armor for him might have been better, but then again, being armor has its own sets of weaknesses. And you're going to be free of real estate to guys with armor smasher and such like that. But at the very least, you can equip Worry Fighter. And having Worry Fighter is very, very handy. For Chrom, he needs something like this. I wish that we have something better, like, well, then again, probably not. The usual breaker skills. If they were to ever get power creep, it's going to be kind of scary. I think it's better to not think about such like that. So a nice healing skill would be a good way to negate some of the damage dealt to you. But in terms of actually being a tank, you're going to need a bit of more support. I would say that he's best used with a bonus doubler team, using the wonderful Fox, using the wonderful Elliewood. I wouldn't actually give him bonus doubler himself, but by using close counter and those two, he should have more than enough stats to pretty much destroy everything in the Aether Raids and such like that. I probably won't even use Rouse Dev Res for him, because you want to negate enemy skills at all cost. I won't even run low attack dev either. I would just run guard, I would run pulse smoke, and then I would team up with Caden, and I'll team up with Elliewood, and I will just be in there just ruining people's days. That's how I intend to use Legendary Chrom. Legendary Chrom is a unit, though, that you probably want to get merges for. You want to get him to plus 10 at some point, and, well, I say this like a horrible brain damage person. Even at plus 0, he's fine as he is. You want to at least get plus 1, though. Give him some stats. But he's the kind of character that shines the more stat bonuses that he gets. Of course, with 2 bonus doublers, there's probably not many things that can actually take you down. However, the problem with him is that he probably will still falter to certain attackers, green attackers, especially ones that are geared towards just defeating blue units. I would say, he's a 7, 8, no, maybe 9 points. He's a 8 to 9 points unit in my estimation. I think that there are better units that are even stronger at tanking stuff, namely people who could use close call, because strict damage reduction is a terrifying skill. And right now, having raw defense and resistance is good. But the problem is that low speed. That low speed is going to be the death of him. That's what's bringing his rating down in my book. Whereas high dev res and high speed defensive characters with close call is very, very, very tough to take down. And of course, then there's Ultimate Magic Bike. Stacking that with close call is just one of the most disgusting things in the old universe. People don't believe me, but I'm going to show you that video. And when I show you how I just butt rape Aether Raids every single day, you'll understand. You'll come to know. You'll come to appreciate the evil I've been doing in Aether Raids. Now, I could do the same thing with Chrom, but you, like I said, you would have to get some help with that. So with those two and 2 score-giving characters, maybe ears or something like that. Probably ear. Ear would be best for him. I think 2 ears would be best. That'll cover his resistance deficit completely. And he would be able to tank pretty much just about anything. Just sit on his fat ass and just tank all day with these defensive options. I think that'll be best for him. Yes. Though with Ultimate Magic Bike, he's incredibly scary. Oh, but you know, though, the more I think about it, I feel like maybe it wouldn't matter. Because think about it like this, okay? With bonus doubler, his HP, though, could be an issue. I think his HP needs to get fixed. If the enemy has panic, he's fucked. Well, he has an HP flaw. He has 41. I think his base HP is 41. It could be a little bit more if he has a super bane. But I think his, I don't think his HP is affected. So, if you were to summon or support him, he would be at 51 HP. Not enough. Not enough, it would seems. 51. And then if you were to plus 10 him, he would only get to 55. That's a problem. I think, as silly as it may sound, it might be good to start equipping seals with HP seals. Having panicked is really, really bad. It'll screw your whole defensive strategy up. If you were to run him with, I suppose you could run him with drives, and you could also run him with Lancina. I think running him with Lancina would be best, but the problem is they're both blue. But you know what? Father and daughter going into battle together is actually pretty nice. I like that a lot. And he would get breath, so he doesn't need to use his seal for anything else. He could just either stack stats or an HP, which he doesn't need anymore, so he could probably just bolster his defenses. So running with Lancina is probably a good idea, actually, now that I think about it. Then you could use your 3 other slots for something else. Running bonus doubler is just too risky. He needs more HP for something like that. If he were to get panicked, all of his hard work would just go down the drain. On the other hand, if he doesn't get panicked, though, oh boy, he's going to be a horrifying thing to destroy. His attack will be sky high. His dev res will be sky high. You can't take him down. Unless you're using something like Black Luna, or, well, not Black Luna, because Burger King's always red, but, you know, something that really, really cuts into defenses, Aether, or something like that. Eventually, something down the line is going to be like, oh yeah, you don't even have defenses anymore. Like from Alm. Alm would fuck him up. Yeah, Alm would... Legendary Alm would really fuck him up. But like I said, you don't look at that. You don't use him as Legendary Alm in the first place. He's just the kind of guy who just sits there on his fat ass and just tank whatever attack with the fattest part of his ass, and that's all he does. So I'd seen so many people compare them. Maybe it's because of the fact that, you know, he can move after suplexing someone, but I honestly think that it's probably a good skill to either do one of two things. One is to go and deploy pulse smoke on someone who can't counterattack, or two, he moves to a better spot to use his fat ass to block enemy from entering a certain spot. But otherwise, to change fate, it's much better, or change fate, or future vision, such like that, is better for Lucina, who has a much, much more aggressive offensive stat line. For our pal Chrom, just have him tank. All day. Every day. But yeah, that's pretty much it with my analysis of Legendary Chrom. I think the man probably could do better with colorless, but as he is now, unless he faced some really strong green titan, namely two of each, something like Edelgard would fuck him up, and also something like Ultimate Magic Bike would fuck him up. You can't do any damage at all to Ultimate Magic Bike. Edelgard will probably also tank that like crazy. So yeah, he just needs to watch out with what kind of opponents that he fights. Even though he can reduce stats, color is always a thing that you can't change. And right now, these green units I described, one has amazing amount of damage reduction, and the other has just an amazing amount of dev. So look and be careful with those guys. But anyway, that's about it for my analysis of Legendary Chrom. I think that this banner is kind of silly. I summon on it quite a few, and once you see my summoning, you understand that I have lost my mind completely. I thank you all for watching. Until next time.